Part 28. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Luke Hixie. Chapter 271. Chapter 271 Puppy Love Requires Parents to be Invited. Ye Wei and Yuan ran each wore earphones and could clearly hear the sound of the song. Although it had been post-processed, she was sure it was what she sang in the recording studio. Why is this happening? There must be a misunderstanding about this matter. I want to ask clearly. Ye Wei couldn't wait to call the man who was the judge that day. The judge asked her to go to the company again and they said they would explain the matter clearly. Ye Wei hurriedly left the school. Su Yuchen, Lu Biang, and others who were playing ball on the playground inadvertently caught a glimpse of her. Lu Biang pushed Su Yuchen. The person who ran over just now seems to be the squad leader. Bang, Su Yuchen threw the ball in his hand heavily on the ground, picked up the coat next to him, and chased it out regardless of the sweat on his forehead. Lu Biang looked at it and shook his head. It's fun. A buddy next to me complained, 2 days ago, a pair of puppy lovers were invited to be parents. Tisk, Lu Biang immediately waved his hand and retorted, although it's wrong to fall in love early, schools can't kill our youth like this. Ha ha ha. A few people laughed loudly and continued to play basketball. Su Yuchen followed Ye Wei and found out that she went to a music production company. But Ye Wei was taken away when he went in to give his name, and Su Yuchen couldn't follow him unimpeded. The only time I saw the judges again that night, I burst out with all my anger. Why did that song online become someone else's? What's going on? Miss Jiao, please be patient and let me explain to you slowly. The judge smiled and poured her a glass of water himself. Ye Wei took a deep breath. I really need an explanation. According to their status, they are always attentive to each other, and they are either traitors or thieves. The judge weighed his tone and said slowly, last time I submitted your recording for application, the superiors have agreed to train you, but every newcomer has a growth process. What does that mean? Well, let me tell you straight, our company is going to promote a famous person. She recently had a problem with her voice. Your timbre is very similar to hers, so I borrowed it. No one expected that it was Ye Wei's cover that made the internet singer famous all of a sudden. Everyone's voice is unique, that's not borrowing, that's lip syncing. The judge's face suddenly became serious. Miss Jiao, if you want to enter this circle, you must abide by the rules of this circle. I don't understand the rules, so I'm going to file a complaint against you. Ms. Jiao, those who understand current affairs are outstanding. If you agree to cooperate with us, you can sign a contract with our company. You will benefit from it in the future and the reward will be generous. The judge deliberately used money to seduce her. Unnecessary. Ye Wei slammed the door angrily and walked out. A young girl dressed maturely opened the door from the office lounge. Uncle, if she doesn't agree, won't something happen? The male judge smiled proudly and said, don't worry, I checked her background. She is just a poor student with no money and no power. Any waves she can make have already been taken care of. Now that you are famous, take good care of your voice. You will have a bright future in the future. The girl smiled again and again. Thank you, uncle. The two of them worked together. Ye Wei slammed the door angrily but found no way to complain. She has no money or power, and the people she greets simply ignore her. Su Yuchen, who was waiting outside the door, saw her appearing and immediately chased after her. Xiaoling? What happened? If Brother Chen doesn't come out, his wife will be gone. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Luke Hixie. Chapter 272. Chapter 272, Make instant noodles as you like. Su Yuchen, why are you here? I'm waiting for you. Ye Wei's complaint was rejected. Su Yuchen accompanied her and learned about the whole story. When a person encounters something unhappy and there is another person around asking questions, he or she cannot help but talk about it. Just like now. I won't give up and let thieves steal my singing. Ye Wei became angrier as he talked and kneaded the instant noodles in his hand to pieces. This is a small shop, and the proprietress stood beside it dully. Ye Wei crushed a pack, and Su Yuchen paid for a replacement. After being stared at by the customers in the store for a while, Ye Wei finally realized something was wrong, put down the instant noodles and turned around to say sorry to the landlady. As soon as the boss lady opened her mouth, she smelled like a scumbag from the northeast. Sister, keep pinching. Not only did she have no objection, she was also happy and hoped that this girl would vent more. At any rate, someone will give you money. Ye Wei smiled awkwardly and glanced at Su Yuchen uncomfortably. Su Yuchen looked at her and replied, if you feel unhappy, just keep pinching. The loving touch in those words. Even the landlady was shocked when she heard this. Ye Wei hurriedly lowered his head and walked out. Looking back, he saw Su Yuchen standing motionless, and then reached out to pull him up. Let's go. Su Yuchen smiled proudly. After coming out, Ye Wei took out the cash from the shell bag and handed it to Su Yuchen. Thank you. This is obviously to pay back the money spent on the instant noodles. But Su Yuchen didn't accept it and pushed her hand back. You are my squad leader, so don't be polite to me. That's okay, I damaged the thing and I will be responsible for it myself. Monitor, you are a girl and you don't need to be strong alone. The implication is that she can try to rely on the people around her. But the only point that Ye captures is the opposite. You mean, I'm strong. You are participating in the competition alone and facing a dark society without thinking of relying on others for help. Aren't you strong? Ye Wei couldn't help but laugh. It would be great if everyone thought like you. If that person thought so, he wouldn't treat her as a child who doesn't understand anything. Su Yuchen suddenly chuckled, but squad leader, haven't you heard that only children who can cry can get candy, and women who can act coquettishly have the best life? Ye Wei raised his eyes, and his tone suddenly became sharp and serious. So what, even if you cry and act like a baby, you will get some benefits, but that may not be what you want. Just like, Yezikin will coax her when she cries, and pamper her when she acts coquettishly, but what's the use of that? Yezikin will be good to her and to others. That's all because others are good enough to be appreciated by Yezikin. Su Yuchen could tell that there was another profound meaning wrapped in her words, but he didn't understand what it meant. Su Yuchen stared at the subject and returned to the point. We need to think of a solution regarding the song. It's really ridiculous that so many people have heard the song online but don't know who else is singing it. Ye Wei pursed her lips and considered it, then said, the power of the internet is very powerful. We can publish a Weibo to clearly describe what happened. You can try it, but maybe you will be regarded as a negative fan. Then I can record another song as evidence. Maybe I'll get beaten up. No matter what, you have to give it a try. Where the instant noodles are pinched, Brother Su is very fond of them. Oh. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lukixi. Chapter 273. Chapter 273 Yezikin's Inner Monologue. Cough cough cough. Yezikin clenched his hands into fists and kept coughing by his mouth. His face was as pale as paper. Pour the clear water into the white cup, open the medicine capsule with your slender white fingers, and pour the bitter particles into the boiling water, let it warm and drink it in one gulp. The phone on the table flashed. He tapped lightly on the screen with his slender fingers, and a message was sent from Guchensi. Don't blame me for not reminding you that something happened to your little girl. It also comes with a connection. Guchensi was entrusted by Yezikin to keep an eye on Ye Wei, and this time he deliberately delayed time before telling Yezikin. Because Guchensi made accurate calculations, Yezikin had no idea about trivial matters such as who was popular and who was exploited on the internet. Now, the little girl's matter is out of control, it's just right. Ahem. Yezikin coughed and felt pain in his heart, as if it was about to be torn apart. The temperature difference changes in winter. He works day and night and drinks alcohol, which puts a lot of load on his body. He was supposed to be recuperating on New Year's Day, but he insisted on going back to watch Yayowe's game. Unexpectedly, all his persistence was rewarded with a cold shoulder from Yayowe. He is sick. Excessive emotions will cause illness, and the good quality of the body will be destroyed by his own hands, and he will eventually faint. That day in the ward, Yayowe happened to catch Su Tangzi falling on him. By some mistake, she didn't push Su Tangzi away immediately because she wanted to see Yes' only choice and see if she would reveal another side of herself. But she didn't believe in him as before. At that moment, he suddenly didn't want to see Yayowe grow up. When Yayowe slammed the door and left, he pushed Su Tangzi away, and that was the scene where Nangong Luo saw Su Tangzi sitting on the floor. He held on to his sick body and chased him out, but was a step too late. In the end, he watched helplessly as Yayowe entered the same car with another boy. The entrepreneurial plan in G City has officially begun to be implemented. He can't stay away from it and can't wait to return to G City. He is indeed not a robot. The parts cannot be reassembled after being dismantled, and the sudden cold caused him to suffer twice as much pain. No matter how smart and capable a person is, he will become vulnerable when faced with the attack of a disease. He knew that Yaoi was working hard to make progress and forcing himself to grow up quickly because he wanted to find out the truth about the destruction of the Chiao family. He had made perfect plans for his future, until Yaoi learned that he had chosen a finance major and told him, "I will also choose a finance major like my brother in the future to make a lot of money. If I have money, I will have a lot of money potential." You can find out your true intentions back then and find out all the enemies of the Chiao family. This seems a bit delusional for a little girl who is not yet underage. Maybe others would laugh after hearing this, but Yezikin didn't dare to bet on whether Yaoi would have such a day. So his plan was foiled. In the eyes of others, he is born noble. The identity of the heir to the Ye family is both an honor and a constraint for him. He likes competitive games and the excitement of playing games, but he has to learn to restrain what he does from a young age. In the end, embarking on a business path is the best choice for the heir to the Ye family. And he didn't want Yaoi to choose a path he didn't like because of hatred. What he has to do now is to make amends before Yaoi knows the truth and return Yaoi's new Chiao family. In the end, Yezikin replied to Guchensi with a warning, "I will handle it, don't let her know." Thanks to I'm hard to coax and Gujuyu is cool for the tips. Brother Chen is really affectionate and has been silently paying for Xiao Lingdang. Don't rebel. But, so many of you say you want to torture Brother Chen, will the Chinese Valentine's Day satisfy you? How many more pricks? End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 274. Chapter 274 Yuan Ran's Identity. Yezikin called Yaoi before taking action, "How are you lately?" Still, it's pretty good. Even though he hesitated, Yaoi still chose to hide it. Yezikin suppressed a muffled cough, and with an uncomfortable voice, he repeatedly told her, "Remember to tell me if you have anything." Yezikin hoped that she would continue to rely on him, but those words changed in Yaoi's ears, like oil being poured into a fire, and his violent emotions exploded instantly. "Don't treat me like a child who hasn't grown up anymore." Yezikin did a lot of things for Yaoi, but Yaoi didn't know anything. Yezikin hid it in order to protect Yaoi, and Yaoi hid it in order to chase Yezikin. Both of them hurt each other while for each other. Yaoi was the first to hang up the phone. Hold the phone tightly in his palm, and the veins on the back of his hand are faintly visible. Cough cough cough, The uncontrollable coughing continued for a long time, and every cough made the trembling expression on his face look even more pale and fragile. Looking down, his deep black eyes stared straight at the screen of the phone. The fingers were spinning around on the screen, and finally moved from the dialing page to the message sending page. In front of me, you don't have to grow up. He could imagine that the little girl from the past would act sweetly like a cute cat and act coquettishly at him. But now, when the message was sent, it was like a stone sinking into the sea, without any reply. Ye Wei tried to record a song and edited the incident into a text and posted it online. But she doesn't usually use Weibo very much and has no popularity, and she didn't even respond. The only ones who knew about this matter were Suyuchan and Yuan Ran. The three of them got together to brainstorm ideas. How about spending money to promote that message? You can try it. Because that song became popular, they specially put keywords on it and gradually got some response. But this will not cause any ripples at all. The girl who cheated was the judge's niece, named Lin Moyu. Because of her family connections, she was not popular before, but she was somewhat famous, at least she had a fan base. So this was the only Weibo post that night, and after it was posted, I was accused of being a black fan. Their timbers are similar, and they have been post-processed, making it difficult for non-professionals to identify them. Lin Moyu invited the Navy again, but they were beaten upside down. What should we do now? Ye Wei rubbed his hair, feeling irritable. Or find someone else to help. Don't. Yes, only subconscious rebuttal was. Because if she asks people around her for help, Yezikin will definitely know about it, and then she will still be treated as a child who can't do anything well. You might even be laughed at. In front of the people she likes, she is only willing to show her best side, but when she is embarrassed and unbearable, she wants to hide it. Suyuchan helped publish the news online, collected the sounds of Lin Moyu's previous songs, and then made some evidence. Yuan Ran saw that Ye Wei was in a bad mood, and she, who had always been indifferent, actually said many words of comfort. Don't worry, there are always smart people who will recognize it. I will not give up. At night, Yuan Ran returned home. Everyone who sees her will address her as Miss. She seemed not to have seen it because she had become accustomed to it. Yujia is a very luxurious place. Her mother was standing in the building holding a Persian cat. Yuan Ran hesitated for a moment, but finally walked over and said, "Mom, something happened to a friend of mine. Can you help me?" Mrsu stroked the cat's fur and said, "It's rare for you to ask for help." April sign-in list of winners. Day and Night, Summer, Mr. Meng Mo, A Girl's Heart is a Heroic Dream, Yiji Zioxi, The Right to Kill in Love is Staring at Gumuran, Kaibao is He, Zekan is, Yawei and Flowers are Cool, Beauty and Ugliness are no more than skinny. Congratulations to the above little cuties who won the prize. Please go to the group to find the manager Zio on the 10th of this month to claim your prize. Don't wait until the deadline. Don't be discouraged if you don't win the prize. Keep signing in. The more you bubble up and vote, the more chances you have of being recognized. The bigger it gets. The group number is 1-4-5-0-1-6-0-1-1-9. If you want to join the group, remember to write a stepping stone. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 275. Chapter 275 is Infinite Connivance. A file suddenly popped up in the only mailbox in the night. She opened it curiously, and the documents she received were all about Lin Moyu's singing career, and there was even a certificate issued by the hospital indicating that her vocal cords were damaged. This thing. She pursed her lips, unable to suppress the sound of her rapidly beating heart. Means to be ecstatic. She spent nearly a week collecting only a few things. It was not as comprehensive as this email, and it was not of sufficient value. Who sent her the information? Only Yuan Ran and Su Yuchen know about this matter. They have been helping to search for information these 2 days, right? Ye Wei was unsure, and was about to tell them about this, but Su Yuchen called unexpectedly, I have a friend who is well versed in network matters. I asked him to help find some information and send it to your email. Remember, check it out. Ye was the only one who was surprised. Huh? Did you ask someone to distribute the information? Has it been sent yet? Su Yuchen didn't react at first, and just said, I mentioned it to him in the morning, but I didn't expect it to be so fast. Ye Wei already had a fight in his heart. She turned around and told Yuan Ran about someone sending the information. Now that we have obtained strong evidence, blindly publishing it online will not work. Let's contact Lin Moyu first. Ken. Yuan Ran had a bad temper, so he didn't ask any more questions after learning about this matter. Yuan Ran thought that her mother took action after mentioning this matter to her mother last night, so she went downstairs to brew a pot of her mother's favorite scented tea and offered it to her. Thank you, mother. MRSU leaned on the chaise longue, gently stroking the cat's hair, and asked lazily, why are you thanking me? Yuan Ran lowered her eyes slightly, tilted her gaze, and then looked directly at MRSU generously. I asked my mother for help last night. Didn't my mother send her a piece of information? MRSU touched the cat's head and heard the cat meow meow before jumping off MRSU's legs and running out of the door. MRSU then stood up, her red lips parted slightly. My people have already taken all the things away before my people started taking action. Is this so? Yuan Ran offered the scented tea and didn't ask any more questions. She asked Ye Wei privately, who gave you the information? Ye Wei said frankly without any scruples, it's Su Yuchen. He said he asked a friend who is proficient in network technology to help. Oh. Only the three of them knew about this matter. Thinking of Su Yuchen's hard work these past few days, luckily it was not in vain. Su Yuchen sent money to the so-called internet-savvy friend to thank him and pay him a reward. In fact, the person he was looking for was not a friend, but someone who needed money for something. But that guy was quite upright and felt baffled when he received the money. I haven't finished processing the documents yet, so you just gave me the money. Aren't you afraid that I'll keep it for myself? It's not done yet, hasn't it already been sent? It's quite troublesome to send it over. It will take at least 4 or 5 days. The guy said a few words without any end, and then went to play games with a cigarette in his mouth. Su Yuchen frowned. If it wasn't the information his friend was looking for, who could it be? G-City. Brother Chen, you said you are coughing non-stop and facing the computer all the time. Why bother? Suche chewed melon seeds and complained a few words. Seeing that Yezikin was unmoved, he continued to read his novel. On the computer, there was one of the few conversations between Yezikin and Gu Jinsi. Yeah, have all the things been sent? Gu, foolproof. Yeah, find someone to keep an eye on her and don't let her notice. If Yi wants to grow up, then he allows her to grow up under his protection. Slightly, Brother Chen's silent effort was robbed. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 276. Chapter 276, She turned black and didn't know how to show mercy. Ye Wei and others didn't know that there was an invisible hand behind the scenes, adding fuel to the flames, uncovering the truth bit by bit. They found Lin Moyu and got her to surrender without any effort. Lin Moyu and the judge uncle promised to apologize, but asked her not to make this matter a big deal. Lin Moyu changed from her previous mature look, without even putting on light makeup, and appeared directly in front of Ye Wei without makeup, begging her to stop there. If this matter gets out, my lifelong dream will be ruined. Ye Wei took a deep breath and tried to suppress the anger welling up in his heart. Your dream is very important. Is it so important that you can just plagiarize other people's achievements? Please be noble and let us go this time. Lin Moyo repeatedly begged for mercy, but Ye Wei left silently. She was kicking stones as she walked on the road, with Su Yuchen and Yuan Ran accompanying her on the left and right. They should be punished if they make mistakes, so you don't have to be soft-hearted. I know, I'm just thinking about other things. Ye Wei was in a bad mood and said he wanted to be alone, but the three of them eventually dispersed and went home. At night, Wei took a taxi back to the apartment, sent out all the complaint letters he had prepared before, and posted what Lin Moyo had done online. After everything was done, her pursed lips rose, and the stimulating pleasure in her heart made people feel extremely happy. There are many people who are famous for their right and wrong, but when the truth is revealed bit by bit, Lin Moyo's reputation is in ruins. Lin Moyo approached Ye Wei angrily. I begged you before, why do you still want to kill them all? Ye Wei was playing with a pen in her hand. There was no anger on her face, but a smile on her face. If you beg me, will I agree to it? The reason why Lin Moyo dared to yell at Ye Wei like this was because she was petite and weak. However, the person she thought was petite and weak no longer acted angry like a child today, as if he was a different person. Lin Moyo was so angry that he said, so you admitted it? You did the complaint and everything online? Yes, Ye Wei nodded and admitted with a sweet smile. Lin Moyo pointed with his hand, his whole body trembling. Why are you so vicious at such a young age? Auntie, what's the matter with you? I'm just publishing the truth. How can I call it vicious? Lin Moyo rushed towards Ye Wei with a broken jar. Ye Wei dodges quickly. Judge Lin, who was chasing Lin Moyo, quickly stopped him and said, stop making trouble and apologize to Miss Jiao. At the end of the day, I am still young and energetic, and at this stage I still don't know that lowering my profile is the best option. Uncle, didn't you say that she is just a high school student with no money and no power? Why did things get to this point? What should I do in the future? Don't talk nonsense, Miss Jiao has a distinguished status, please apologize quickly. Boom. Ye Wei suddenly struck the case, his sharp gaze directed at the uncle and nephew. What do you mean by this? This matter, who helped her? A few days later, the sound theft incident was finally resolved, and Ye Wei did not expose her true identity online, and her life seemed to have returned to peace. Ye Wei specially invited guests to dinner as a token of his gratitude. Speaking of the information, Ye Wei asked tentatively, Su Yuchen, when you said you asked your friends to search for information, are you hiding something from me? Sorry, I lied before because I was afraid of your rejection. In fact, he is not a friend, but someone I hired with money. It's so. It seems that she is overthinking. The so-called backer is just Su Yuchen spending money to smooth things over for her? Happily, let me tell you that the other side of Little Belle doesn't know what it means to be soft-hearted. How much do you want Brother Chen to be tortured? End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 277. Chapter 277. The hero saves the beauty. After dinner, Ye Wei and Su Yuchen stayed on campus and left together. Yuan Ran was about to go home and raised his hands to say goodbye to them. With the new year approaching, the streets became even more chaotic. Yuan Ran never expected that she would encounter a drunkard while waiting for the driver of the Yu family on the roadside. Little sister, why are you here alone? How about my brother taking you to drink? Yuan Ran glanced at them coldly, turned around and walked forward calmly. But the two drunkards had no intention of letting her go. They ran up to her and grabbed her shoulder bag and pulled her back. Just when Yuan Ran was about to fight back, someone took the lead and pulled away the drunkard wrapped around her arm. Boom dash. There was a sound of punching and kicking, and the two clinging drunkards fell to the ground crying and begging for mercy. Yuan Ran grabbed her shoulder bag and took a step back. When she turned around, she saw a tall boy stepping proudly on someone's back, patting each other with both hands, as if he was deliberately slapping away dirty things on his hands. "It's you." Yuan Ran recognized him at a glance. He was Beye, a bad student he had met several times. He was wearing a baggy black sports coat, with the zipper still open in this winter season. The T-sleeve with the skull printed on it was his unique logo. Anyone who knows Kitano at school knows that he wears brand new skull T-sleeves all year round, not because he doesn't change his old clothes, but because all his clothes are of this style. Very strange. But no one in the school dared to question this issue. Yuan Ran suppressed her accelerated heartbeat, nodded and said thank you lightly, "Thank you." B raised his leg and kicked the drunkard casually, letting them go. "Little beauty," and ran, "I saved you again. If you help me this time, I will give you the due reward. I heard in school that the little beauty and ran is the rich daughter of a rich family. It seems to be true. She will throw money at people when things happen." Kitano sneered. "Yes, she has the style of a rich second generation." This statement sounds like sarcasm. Yuan Ran is a smart person, so she doesn't talk to him anymore and asks straightforwardly, "What do you want?" "You." "What?" "Want you." B. Yuan Ran only called his name, her frown already showing her mood. Kitano then burst into laughter. "I'm just kidding you. I, Kitano, am the first person who can see the face of the famous cold beauty in the school change." Yuan Ran. She has never dealt with such people, and her temperament is not good at talking and laughing with others. Facing the flamboyant and unruly B, who seems to be the opposite of her, she can never feel calm in her heart. Like a naughty stone dropped into the still water of the soul, once it moves, there will be a ripple. Yuan Ran didn't like this feeling of being out of control. Following good upbringing, she was still polite to her benefactor. "I'm going home, goodbye." B took long steps to catch up. "It's so dangerous for little beauty to walk on the road alone. I'll take you home." "Need not." She calculated the time and the Yu family driver would arrive soon. But Kitano seems to be sticking by her side, which is very different from the arrogance he used to lead a group of bad students in school. The naughty smile infected her emotions. The unfamiliar feeling made Yuan Ran feel irritable for no reason. Until, a valuable car parked on the roadside. The car door opens. "Miss, please get in the car." The driver of the Yu family appeared, and Yuan Ran breathed a sigh of relief. She turned around and told Kitano, "Don't let others know what happened today. I will give you an equivalent reward." Thanks to Xia Tian and Muse Hixixia for the reward. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lukixi. Chapter 278. Chapter 278 Dream, 1, First Snow in Childhood. On the day when the first snow fell, the whole world seemed to be covered with a layer of holy silvery white. The sound of a silver bell sounded clear to the ears, and the little girl in a red coat wrapped herself from head to toe and plunged into the snowdrift. "Brother Chen, come here, let's build a snowman together." "Little Belle, you are very childish." The boy leaning against the door is wearing a mid-length black windbreaker. The English letters on the cuffs are designed in a unique and fashionable style. He held up a miniature camera. His mouth was cold, but his eyes did not move away from the bright red in the vast white snow. Little Chiao Ling rolled around on the ground without any scruples, and got up as soon as he rolled over. She deliberately walked up to him with big strides, raised her head, and boldly pointed at him and accused, "It's not childish. Mom said this is called having a childlike heart. Brother Chen, you don't have a childlike heart like this." The dignified young master of the Ye family was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. Even though he is still a child now, no one dares to point a finger at him. It just so happens that a 5-year-old girl is so confident. Yezikin held the camera with one hand, and slowly stretched out the other hand, pressing the pad of his index finger on her forehead. Childish, just play with yourself. Xiao Jiao pursed her lips and snorted, playfully raised her hands on both sides of her face, and stuck out her tongue at him, a little bit. But when she ran to build a snowman but could not shape it, her cheerful smile turned into a bitter look. How could this be? That's what the teacher said. Yezikin, who had been watching, finally couldn't bear it anymore and hummed in a low voice, "Idiot." But it happened that this sound fell into Jiao Li's ears. She squatted on the ground and tilted her neck to look back. "You idiot, Brother Chen, you don't even want to help me. Build a base first." Snowball again. Hearing the sounds coming one after another, Xiao Jiao was stunned for a moment. When she realized what she was doing, Yezikin was already standing next to her and started to help her build the snowman's body according to the steps. Xiao Jiaolian gave a thumbs up with both hands at the same time. He was so happy that he immediately shouted, "Brother Chen, you are awesome." Little Jiao Ling surrounded him and kept asking what to do next. By the time Yezikin finished teaching himself, a snowman was already standing proudly. Snow-white body, black eyes, and red nose, but now. "Ah, it's so cold in winter that you need a scarf." Xiao Jiaolian took off his red scarf in order to complete a better work. Just when she was about to put it on the snowman, her hand was grabbed. Yezikin handed her his gray scarf. "Use this." Little Jiaolian pouted and shook his head. "No, the color in the book is red, red is beautiful." She insisted on returning the snowman in the painting and wrapped a red scarf around it. She was so cold that she shrank her neck because she was not used to the sudden decrease in warmth. The next second, the warm feeling returned to her again. It was Yezikin who put the gray scarf around her neck. "Little Lingdang, you are so stupid. What will you do if you leave me?" "Why did I leave you? Little Lingdang is very smart, she will definitely stay with Brother Chen. You are so young and don't know anything." Xiao Jiao shook his head again and again. "It's not too small, it's not too small." She stepped forward and stepped on the extra carrots she had just thrown in the snow. She fell into the snowdrift with an ouch and the bell on her wrist rang loudly. "Look, smart people don't fall." Yezikin stretched out his hand, but laughed at her. Little Jiao Li was an eccentric person. When he grabbed his palm, he exerted great force and pulled him down together. The young master of the Ye family, who has always been famous, fell down. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lukixi. Chapter 279. Chapter 279 Dream, 2, Childhood Promise. According to legend, on the day when the first snow falls, lovers who meet will receive eternal blessings. Chugzyo. Brother Chen, let's go skiing tomorrow. Mom said it would be fun. It rarely snows here. When Jiao Ling was conscious and could play in the snow by himself, he spent the first year with Yezikin. The little girl thought the white snow falling in the sky was very beautiful and strange. Now, she wants to ski. Yezikin lowered his eyes and glanced at her thick red ski suit, and felt that the guy in front of him wrapped into a small ball was really interesting. However, the boy, who has been calm since childhood, has no interest in playing. He thinks, going skiing so far away is a waste of time. It's a bit far. Xiao Qiaoi patted his head, was silent for a while, and then suddenly raised a smile and said, "My dad built an amusement park, so just ask your dad to build another ski resort." What an unexpected answer. But Yezikin told her, "If I want something myself, I will figure it out myself." Little Jiao Ling was very confused, but why did dad say that if I want anything, I just tell him directly? Because you are a girl. Can girls just make requests? Of course not. Perhaps he denied it too directly, which frightened the little girl. The little girl's black spar-like eyes stared straight at him but said nothing. Yezikin moved his lips, and finally put his hand on her head, clearly promising, "But you can make demands of me." Upon hearing this, the little girl who was stunned just now hugged him with great energy. "Yeah. That's great, then brother Chen, let's go skiing with me." "But how do you say a word? Easy to speak but difficult to do." Little Xiaoling doesn't know how to ski, but he likes to hang out with Yezikin. The adults couldn't pull him away, so they simply found a few skiers to accompany him and let the two children play. As a result, Puji accidentally fell down and hurt his face. The little girl, who is usually very strong, suddenly cried out in pain. Her parents were not around, and she kept shouting for a brother to hug me. They treated the little girl's wounds as quickly as possible, and Yezikin hugged her tightly, hearing deafening cries. "Brother, wow wow wow, it hurts so much, woo woo woo. It'll be fine soon. No more skiing, I'll never ski again." "Okay, okay, no skiing." No matter what the little girl said, he now agreed. When the cool ointment was applied to the wound, she finally stopped crying and complaining of pain. The little girl hugged the person she relied on tightly, looked at him longingly and said, "But I want to build a snowman." Yezikin couldn't help laughing. "I'll help you build a snowman." "Will you help me build a snowman every year?" "Well, if it snows, I will definitely help you build a snowman." "If it snows, I will definitely help you build a snowman." The math textbook accidentally fell to the ground. Feeling someone was shaking her arm, Yewei slowly opened her eyes and saw that everything outside the window was black. Then she remembered that she was studying in the evening and there was no teacher. She lay down for a while and unexpectedly fell asleep. "Don't sleep anymore, it's easy to catch a cold in such a cold weather." She heard Yuan Ran's voice and said, "Thank you." Ye Wei picked up the textbook and heard the voice of the classmate at the back desk. "I heard it's going to snow this year. Is the first snow coming? I'm so looking forward to it. It feels like trying to build a snowman." The classmates at the back table chattered a lot, but Ye Wei heard everything clearly. Yuan Ran was about to ask a question when he turned around to look at Ye Wei, only to find. "Qiao Li, why are you crying?" Silent tears suddenly fell from the corners of his eyes. "When writing, I need to make up for the scene and the emotions of the characters." When Kixi thought of that sentence, Maya magically shed a tear. Wait until you feel sorry for Brother Chen. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 280. Chapter 280. You come back and we make peace. Cough. Yezikin's cold has lasted for half a month and still cannot be cured, and he has lost weight. He was sitting quietly by the window and seemed to hear someone shouting. He accidentally opened the window and saw the pure white snowflakes falling to the ground silently like light feathers. Yezikin stared. Is it snowing in G City? Suche shivered as he was cold when he opened the window. Brother Chen, don't you know? It snows every year at this time in G City, and today it's the first snow. The buddy who was playing games on the bed suddenly poked his head out and said, "At this time, I should ask a girl to watch the snow together." Suche nodded with deep understanding. Girls like the legend of the first snow. With the beautiful snow scene as a backdrop and a confession, girls can easily catch it. Cough cough cough. Yezikin lowered his head and coughed a few times, then skillfully took out the medicine from the table and took it. Taking medicine seems to have become an indispensable daily routine for him. After taking the medicine, he opened the browser, and his search history was all about weather forecast. He has been paying attention to the weather forecast in City S. It is said that it will snow this year. Because I once promised a person that if it snowed that year, I would help her build a snowman. When I entered the S-City post bar, a 3-second picture post happened to pop up, with the title, "It's Snowing." Snowing. Snowing. In City S, the first snow has arrived. The mobile phone is typing rapidly on the keyboard, and the computer is shut down. He pushed the chair away with a sudden movement, stood up, and took away the brown windbreaker hanging by the bed. Suche had just taken out the review paper and was about to ask the boss, but he saw the boss rushing out of the door. "Brother Chen, I have a question here. Hey, where are you going?" "Go back to City S." The remaining echoes could not even be captured. Suche held the paper and looked confused. "No, this, there is an exam tomorrow. He wants to fly home." The roommate who played the game shook his head and was relatively speechless. City. When the bell rang for the end of get out of class, someone was surprised to find that there was a layer of white outside the window. "You guys, get up and look, it's really snowing." In a place where snow does not fall all year round, it snowed unexpectedly this year. The students ran out of the classroom to watch, and everyone found it strange. According to legend, on the day when the first snow falls, lovers who meet will receive eternal blessings. The best time is when it first snows. Ye Wei stood by the aisle with her hand on the railing. She stretched out her palms, and soon crystal snowflakes fell into her palms. She closed her palms as if to grab something, but in the end, nothing was left except wet watermarks. Lu Biang saw a picture of plum blossoms and beautiful plum blossoms on the internet. The pure white snow wrapped the delicate plum blossoms. The picture was extremely beautiful. He shared it with Suyuchen. Suyuchen bought 2 e-tickets online and sent an invitation to Ye Wei. It rarely snows in City S, and the plum grove in the park becomes a wonder. Do you want to go and see it together? Suyuchen was full of hopes, but was rejected by Ye Wei. Sorry, I don't want to go. It wasn't that she didn't want to go, it was just that she didn't want to go alone with Suyuchen, so she had to refuse. Suyuchen couldn't figure it out after being rejected. Lu Biang laughed at him, but he pretended not to hear. The last person went to the park with a disappointed attitude. But after Suyuchen left, Ye Wei also searched online for information about the current situation of the park's Merlin. Seeing those pictures, I accidentally bought 2 park tickets and smiled to myself, "Brother Chen, if you still remember your promise, we can make peace." Thank you to Sunian and Lolive.han for the reward. So the question is, who will meet the only one first? End of this chapter.